especially in a relationship, if a woman is settled, everyone's happy.
Mm.
Everyone. So if a man can be settled so that she can be settled, whoa, amazing. But in reality, seen so much on the internet about like, well, men, you need to be this way in order for her to be this way. I'm like, stop doing that. Don't make anyone have to do anything. I have to do this for myself. I have to be fully sovereign
Hmm.
in myself and do this for myself. And then whatever you do just adds to it.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Love, Loss, and Hallucinations. This week's guest is Melanie Spring. Melanie is a brand muse, international keynote speaker, and guide to bold visionaries who want to amplify their voices on and off the stage. With a background in branding and speaking, along with a magical gift for seeing who you can become, she has spent more than 2 decades guiding humans to unbecoming everything that wasn't them and to speak from their deepest knowing. Welcome to the show, Melanie. It's great to have you here on this Tuesday morning here. I think you're in Florida, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Fair
so
Beach.
a little later for you. Yes.
I mean, time is a construct, isn't it, though?
Yes, time isn't real. Time is a construct. So we're just, it feels like 9 a.m. here, though.
I know. I got 4 hours of sleep last night. And I was trying to explain to my friend that we just made up time, so it doesn't really matter. Like, that's
Yeah,
what we were supposed to get. Totally fine.
exactly. Um, yeah. So just to jump in here, first, I just want to do a shout out to Jennifer Griffith, who you were on her podcast about your mother. And I know her from Jackson, and she's been on my podcast, an earlier episode, definitely worth checking out. So hi to Jennifer, and thank you
Hello.
for introducing us. And I want to start here with I've read and heard you don't necessarily call yourself a coach. So what do you call yourself, and how is it different from being a coach?
Well, I think of coaches like I think of therapists as like having
Mm,
certain certifications or degrees. Like if you went
mhm.
to IFC, I think is what it is, International Federation of Coaching,
Yeah,
then you got a certificate and said, okay, I am officially this.
yeah.
And for like therapists, like they have to go through school and go through all these specific things to get this education to do that. I have years of just hitting the ground and making things happen. And really, I think stepping into myself, which you can't really get a
Mm.
degree in stepping into yourself. So I like to think of myself as a muse, which I had a hard time. I'm a brand strategist, so I love naming things and I love coming up with how to explain things. But everyone kept being like, so how do I tell people what you do? And I was like, what do you mean? What do you say? And they're like, I have a Melanie. I'm like, okay. So I finally started calling myself a muse because I'm like, that's really at the end of the day what I am is I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not coaching you. I'm
Mhm.
really guiding you to your own answers, which is what coaching should be in reality. Same with therapy. But I think of it as more like I'm really digging under the surface and understanding why are you doing what you're doing, putting the patterns together and then finding deeper truths for you. So yeah, that's why I
Yeah,
do.
right, I love it. Melanie the Muse. It also has a nice onomatopoeia to it,
Hmm.
so
If you could help me come up with my next thing, that's actually where I'm at right now is like,
Oh.
you caught me at the perfect time, which is such a good time to me because I'm like, I have a branding identity detox at the
Oh,
moment.
wow.
And I'm like,
Wow.
I even put it on my LinkedIn and my social media. I'm like, I'm in the reclamation identity detox phase 1. Let's go.
So you're in a deep transition, it sounds like, where you're gonna have to, like, let go of some things and embrace
Oh, so
the new
many.
you.
Yeah, well, over the years, I've morphed my job and my business, and I mean, I've been an entrepreneur for 18 years, really since I was 20, but
Mhm.
which is 25 ugh, got it. I have a full-time adult at this point, but it was really just like I had taken one thing at a time and kind of morphed it, like from brand strategy to speaking training, and then healing work that I'm doing. And it's like one thing after another, and I'm like, wait, what if I just like burned it all down for a second and what would I do if I could just start
Mm.
over? And so I'm in that phase of like, you can't just keep morphing it. You actually have to choose.
Yeah. Wow. Well, and it sounds like you are living what you, as I said in your introduction, unbecoming everything that wasn't them. Like you're going through another process of living it again for yourself, right?
You teach what we need to learn the most, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I'm knowing it. Like, I learned over the years that I've walked through the fire so many times that
Mhm.
I've, like, burned my feet to a crisp. I know how to get through it. I've got a smoldering map, and
Mm.
I'll walk with you, but I can't help you stay out of the pits, but I'll keep you kinda walking around the edges so you don't accidentally hurt yourself too badly. But I know that it's not about me going, "All right, you guys, this is what you need to do," which is what I feel
Right.
like a lot of therapists and coaches do. Like, I couldn't figure this out for myself, so I'm gonna do it for other people. I'm not saying all of them do that, but it tends to be the trend that way, like, "Oh, I
Yeah.
wasn't very good at this, so I'll teach other people." And I'm realizing how much embodiment is 100% what people are following these days, and it's
Mhm.
not a trend. I mean, it is kind of trendy at the moment to be embodied, but, like, I think it's really what we need to step into is, like, being the leaders who do the things so that they can show other people the path, so
Yeah. Well, and can you give an example of that for yourself that, obviously not this one because you're still in the middle of it trying to figure it out and
yeah, by the
but
time this
maybe
airs,
maybe
hopefully
the
we figured it out, but
yeah, maybe the past one of what you had to lose to like become this recent rendition of what everything you are and who you are.
oh, man. I mean, I could give you so many different examples, but I'm also in a different one at the moment, which
Mm.
is a relationship one, which really goes along with the name of your podcast, Love,
Yeah.
Loss, and Hallucinations, but
Well, happy to get into that, of course.
of course, we can switch from work to play, but it's all
Yeah.
embodiment at the end of the day, so it's all about
Mhm.
really understanding yourself to the point of being able to step into whatever it is. And so I'm in my relationship right now where my husband and I have been in the hardest season of our lives. We've been
Mm.
together 8.5 years. We're almost
Mhm.
in with our ninth year. And you know about 9 year cycles. It's a really big number in numerology, but it's like the end of a cycle. And we're in
Mhm.
that space, which a lot of other people are of like, "Ugh, is this gonna work? Or is this the old way of doing things?" And so
Mhm.
I'm doing that right now in my relationship where I'm having to look at every single piece of it because we
Yeah.
were babies when we met. He was 27 and I was 36. Like, we're 11 years apart, and he had done a ton of work, I had done a bunch of work, I had started falling in love with myself, all of that stuff, but over the years, I had no idea how much trauma I had until I
Oh,
started
wow.
doing psychedelics and totally changed everything, and then found myself, understood myself, and then he got into this, like, side thing where there was, like, hiding and lying and, like,
Ooh.
gaslighting and, like, addiction and, like, all this, like, stuff that happens over time that just became, like, the other path, and I'm, like, the most honest person, and he told me
Mm.
one day, "I think I married you because you weren't gonna put up with my bullshit." And I'm
Mm.
like, "Yeah, but now I have to." And
Yeah.
so it's like taking a look at every part of myself, I've had to look at I put myself in this place because 'cause I'm used to
Mhm.
narcissism and addiction because I just, like, it's part of my life, and do I really want that anymore? He's not a
Mm.
narcissist, but, like, those flavors of all that go together, and there's so much to unpack there, but, like, I'm really taking that like, we're on a 6-month break, we're not talking for 6 months.
Oh, wow.
He's doing something else, I'm doing something, I'm just, like, resetting my whole system. So, like, I'm not kidding when I say I'm burning the whole thing down.
Yeah, well, a 6-month break of not talking is very difficult because it just what so much of what you're saying is resonating with, like, the experiences I've had and my wife have had. Whether it's 9 years in numerology or sort of like uh, the classical, like, 7-year
Itch.
itch. It's
Mhm.
as terrible as that really kinda sounds,
I
but,
know, right?
like, for us, it was, like, 7 years, and, like, my wife and I say we're on our 3rd marriage,
Oh,
basically,
we have
and,
to be.
yeah, and we went through the first one where it feels like you're kind of at that same place, and we had the 6-month break, and we burned it down, and
You did?
yeah, pretty much. I mean, we came that
Wow.
close to divorce, and,
Yeah.
there's a whole backstory there that and also involving psychedelics that we would not be together still without
As
those. So,
everything should.
yeah.
Yeah,
So I just wanted to put that out there that so much of what you're going through right now, I feel, and it resonates very hard. And wherever it leads, as I'm sure it always, if you lean into it, you come out the other side better, stronger, wiser,
right.
and hopefully your relationship does too, whether it's together or apart.
Exactly. Well, and it's that
Yeah.
idea that, like, I'm taking this not as a, well, look at what you did and how you,
Mm,
this is all you, looking at
right.
100% of my responsibility in this and how long I let things go before I finally said no. And how much
Mm.
you even said things like, you let me cross your boundaries though. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I'm hardcore with boundaries, like, I'm really good at this kinda stuff, but it
Yeah.
made me realize how many other people were just running over me all the time and how much I was taking on everyone else's problems all the time, and I
Mm,
had to like, I'm sitting in this place, I'm calling it the reclamation, but it's, like, reclaiming all of my energy back to myself and,
mm.
like, really understanding my own nervous system and not blaming anyone else. Like, even
Yeah.
last night, I was thinking I did a little bit of mushrooms just because, as you do, and I'm in this, like, lull space where I was sitting there going, "It's me. I'm the problem. Oh my god,
Mm.
I'm miserable, like, this is so." But by the end of it, I was like, "No, it's not. Like, you just made all these decisions, and you attracted all these people, and you did all this stuff just to go, 'Oh, stop doing that.'
Yeah, this
Now you
still
can
isn't
make
it.
a new decision. You don't have to beat yourself up and make yourself wrong about it, but you can, like, make a new decision and keep going from there."
Mhm. Wow, yeah, and well, and I love that, that you pointed out that you're, like, not blaming him for this and that you're taking this space to look at yourself because so many I think a majority of relationships, the first go-to is it's the other person's fault, right?
Which was
And
mine, obviously.
yeah,
Like, that's how
yeah,
it is.
that
It's like, "Oh,
that's the
you
ego does
said to
not wanna blame
me."
itself.
Right, exactly. And it's not about that, it's about, like, really seeing my part in it and taking that
Mm,
responsibility, which is, I think, the biggest part of the path to growth and enlightenment is
mhm,
truly understanding you can't change anybody else. You can't do anything to anyone else or make anyone do anything. You have
mm,
to focus on what you can do about it, your response to it, not letting your anger overtake you or not letting your annoyance or, like, not letting yourself just have your boundaries run over anymore, but being
yeah.
what I'm now calling non-negotiables. Like, they're not boundaries anymore. I have an electric fence. Like, it's not like a little, like, pushover kinda deal. It's like electric fence. You get zapped if you try to do that.
Yeah,
No.
yeah. Well,
Mhm.
what are those boundaries for you? I mean, I'm just wanting to like look at that a little deeper. Just it really interests me in that you're very good with boundaries, and yet he's crossed
Right,
these boundaries, and now you're like, oh shit, and now you want to like reinforce the boundaries. So,
right.
like, what was that whole process for you? Because I feel that's valuable for people to just hear it for their own journeys. Like, oh, this is how I can do that, even if I've slipped.
Yeah, and that's the thing about having this level of growth that I've gotten to, and I don't think of growth as levels. Like, I actually, even saying level of growth doesn't make sense. It's like a spiral, I think, of you kind of get up into a certain spot, but then you notice you're like stepping into other places again and having to relearn things as you're
Hmm.
going. And I feel like every time I get to another, like, oh, I did it. I think of it as like a shoots and ladders board or shoots and snakes if you're in the UK.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
shoots and ladders, you're like climbing up and you're like, yeah, I did it. And then you slide down the side, you're like, damn it, what happened? Like, how did I get here? And then over time, you get to the top of the board and you're like, yes, I did it. And then you look up and you're like, "Oh, there's another board." But now you're stronger, you have more fun going down, like, you're actually doing it a lot better. It could be even
Hmm.
harder, but you're better at this. And so, like, with the non-negotiables, I'm a brand strategist, that's what I did for the first 15, 20 years of my career, and
Hmm.
I realized that core values are my non-negotiables, and I had to really sit with, what is the truth of me?
Hmm.
And I found that at the end of it, the word radical is actually the basis for all of my core values. And so radical, people say, means like out there, totally different or separate. When in reality, radical is root. Radical is like the original. Like,
Mm.
they talk about Jesus being radical. Yeah, of course he was, but he was taking everything back to love. It wasn't about faith or Christianity or some sort of like religion. He was talking about, we just have to love, which is the root. That's the radical part of it. And
Mhm.
so my core values are radical honesty, which means really truly taking responsibility for what's going on, radical accountability. So knowing this is my responsibility, my accountability, and I have to look at the truth. Radical collaboration, which means both people have to be like, we have to be here for both. It can't just be like just for me or just for you. It has to be both, which is my work. And then, let's see, what was the other one? Radical creativity. So knowing that anything is possible, and the more
Mm,
luggage we let down, the more we can see what's possible. And then the last one is radical love and loving no matter what.
Mm.
See online all the time, people rip apart people like Mel Robbins, like, "Oh, she's just a hack. She's just this and that and the other." And I'm looking at them going, "Are you doing what she's doing? Are you in the arena? No,
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, guess what? Everyone's not for everybody, and it doesn't matter, but you can still love them. You don't have to be you don't have to be hateful because that says more about you than it says about her."
Yeah. It's their own shadow parts that they're
Exactly.
not wanting to like confront. It's easier to blame her and like
Yes.
rip her down versus really sink their teeth into what she is trying to convey.
Right, and it could be basic, but a lot of the best people out there who are sharing things are sharing simple concepts. They're not sharing big esoteric crazy things like love.
Hmm.
Easy, but not
Easy,
at the same
easy, but
time.
not.
Right. Yep. So I've been
um,
looking at my boundaries as like my core values are really like, if you lie to me, go away. If you lie
mm,
to me and we talk about it and you can start working on not lying, like I'm not available for gossip. If people need to gossip about someone, and I've gotten into
mm,
this where I'm like, "Oh, gossip." Like, "Oh, that sounds so fun. Like we should totally talk about that person." But I'm like, that does nothing for anybody. So, how can we make sure that we're being honest and careful with our words and being careful with ourselves and not
mm.
selfish to the point of not caring about other people, but selfish to the point of like being so selfless because you're taking care of yourself. So, that's what I've been looking at lately with my non negotiables.
Yeah. Well, and it brings to my mind, like, I'm wondering, since you mentioned you did a little mushrooms last night,
Mhm.
which one of those or many of those radicals did you kind of dive into during that?
Ugh, I think a lot of it was honesty with
Mm,
myself about where I am and
hmm.
like, I am the person who got me here. I can't blame anyone else, like, for my financial position, for where I am with clients, what I'm doing with my why is my website not updated? Like, it's all those little things where I've had all these huge projects happening, and I can't even take one step on them because I'm so, like, overwhelmed at the concept of it. And in
Hmm.
reality, I can go, "Well, what if I just did one thing?" So, like, even before this, I was like, "I'm just gonna do that one thing that I can just get off my plate and just free up some brain space. Great, done."
Yeah.
Next. And so it's like being able to look at those pieces of going, I'm just sitting here trying to escape. And I've been numbing for so long with all of the stuff that's going on that what if I actually faced it and really looked at it and like
Mm,
soberly looked at it from a space of like true honesty with myself. I am where I am because of me, not because of anyone
hmm.
else.
Hmm. Well, and I imagine the work you do with people, with other your clients and such, like you're Um, musing them, since we won't say guiding them, we'll say musing them. Musing
Melanin.
melaning them, musing them towards this, I would imagine the same direction where they discover this on themselves that, that, they just need to really own it themselves that they are where they are, wherever that is,
Right.
and I guess I'm curious, like, what do you are there any common walls that you find with your clients that they first have to like get around to head in that direction, to take the first step, I guess?
It was actually something my mentor struggled with me 6 years ago,
Mm.
and she was a powerful, powerful person. I mean, it takes a really powerful person to get me in line. So, like and I had to trust her, which I couldn't. I had such a hard time. I was always coming to her with like, "Look at me, I did it. Look at my wonderful thing that I
Mhm.
did." And I realized even with my own clients, the same thing comes through where they're like, "Oh, but if I'm honest with her and I tell her the truth of where I'm at, then I won't be perfect and then she'll see my
Mm.
flaws." But what I realized was the more I can be honest with my clients, with other people, the more I share about my own shit that I've been going through, the more they're willing to like tell me the real story rather
Yeah.
than the pretend story. And so I've noticed even with recently with clients, they're like, "Okay, did you notice that I told you the truth and I cried and it didn't matter and it was okay?" And I was like, "I know, I'm so proud of you." They're like, "I gave myself a pep talk before the call. You have to be honest with Melanie." And I was like, "Thank you, finally." Because we can't get
Uh.
anywhere if you're just making me your friend and having me celebrate you. But even my own mentor said that to me and I was like, "Blah, blah, 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 blah. I'm supposed to be perfect. Don't you see this?"
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that is, I would imagine a lot of people in this space are dealing with that perfectionism and needing to look like they have their shit together. Well, I think that's like the human race in general, really.
Right.
And, none of us have our shit together. And, that's And one of the reasons I started the whole podcast really is to kind of share these stories and like show that in this vulnerability is where you can like grab onto the most growth and learn about yourself and thus better help others, right?
Right.
Um, yeah. So I don't know if I really have a question around that. I'm just putting it out there.
Well, I mean, if we go back to the title of what you're talking about, love
Yeah.
loss and hallucinations, I think when I first got married and together with my husband, I didn't even know what love really felt like. I had started loving myself at the beginning 8,
Mhm.
9 years ago. And like I went to Bali 9 years ago. I had the talk of my life. I was in Times Square giving a talk on a huge stage. I went to Bali, broke up with my boyfriend at the time, like went on this big crazy, like, okay, I'm going to change everything 9 years ago, which is just fascinating that it's right now, 9 years ago.
9 years
And,
ago.
yep, 9-year cycle again, but I looked back last night at a couple of those pictures because they came up as I was thinking about things, and I found them on Facebook. I was like, "Oh, little Melanie, look at her and all the stuff that she was doing back then." Like, I look like a librarian, like corporate Melanie, which is so funny to me now to look at. If I could go back and tell myself anything, I would say, forget this dating thing, forget this, like, figuring things out, go see places and travel the
Mm,
world and fall in love with yourself, and I had started to. I was, like, just getting started on it, but at the time, I had no idea how much trauma I had locked up in my system. If you had
mm,
asked me if I had trauma, I would have said no. Like, everyone gets hit when they're children. Everyone gets whatever. You know, like, you
mm.
everyone has these things, and other people are like, "No, they don't. Not everybody does have that." And I'm like, "Oh." What? But realizing as, like, an adult, I know now I had crushing anxiety until I was 40, like,
Mm,
soul-crushing anxiety until I was 40. I would be, like, lit up, my whole back of my neck, my hips, everything would be just, like, locked just to do this, and I would do it. I would push myself through it, I'd be fine.
yeah.
But I would never have told you I had anxiety until it was gone, and I had it like, an 800-pound person got off of me, and I was like, "You could, like, just be?
Mm.
What? That's not possible." But it was like the process of one step at a time, loving myself.
Mhm,
And I hear so many times people go, "Ugh," like they come to one of my healing retreats, which we have here in Vero Beach, and one of them will say, "I wish I had learned about this sooner." Or they'll see I have a 27-year-old in one of my programs, and everyone's like, "Oh, I wish I had known this at 27." And I was like, "But here's the thing,
yeah.
each of us comes to this at exactly the perfect moment.
Yep.
I'm not further along. I just have a little more experience in some places, but I'm just as like it's just as hard. It's not as easy even after all of this. So I think I would love to go back and remind myself that you have to fully love yourself and
Mhm,
understand yourself fully to know how to really love someone else. Because even when I got married, I don't know that I loved my husband the way I know what love is now. I'm sure I
mm,
loved him at the level I could, but I don't think he loved himself. I think he's still
yeah.
figuring that out. So at 34, 35, he's like just now stepping into that. And I go back to like, oh yeah, that's about the age I was when we met. Like, okay, we'll start this
And
over
that's about the
again.
age my wife and I were when everything first
Right.
fell apart and we had to really figure it out. And, I mean, as far as, learning to love yourself and it's I feel like it's sort of it's a concept everyone's like, "Yeah, that'd be great." But
How do you
and
do
the
that?
yeah, exactly. The journey for everyone is different, of course.
Yeah.
So, I guess what was the first step for you and how has that, like, evolved for yourself?
Mm.
Like,
It,
how have you learned to love yourself? Small question.
you're like, I'm going to mute myself now. I'll talk to you in about
Yeah,
20 minutes.
yeah, just gonna let you go. We'll come back
Totally.
in a half
Like,
hour.
hmm. Well, the short version of it is that I've started figuring it out when 9 years ago when I went to Bali, and this
Mhm,
is such like a I'm 45-year-old white lady thing to say, but it's
mm,
like it was the thing that really helped me go. I had to get like halfway around the world to go, let me get away from everything in my life and just disconnect for a moment and get a chance to see who I am in a place nobody knows me.
mhm.
And I was at a yoga retreat and this woman had asked the question at the beginning of class, like, and I was pretty sure of myself. I was solid. I was good. I was all set. But she asked the class, "Is there something that someone has told you in time that you don't wanna believe is true anymore? You still believe it, but you don't wanna believe it." And I was sitting there like, "I'm a boss, I'm a badass, I'm really cool, I'm tall, oh, I'm too much. Whoa."
Mm,
Phrase came out of me, and I just started crying, and I was like, "Too much? Jeez." And it was like my mother had sent me a letter that said, "I love you, but you're too hard to love," just around that time. I was like, Jeez. Fast forward, we're in a really great spot now. Like, things are
Yeah.
good. But at the time, I had, like, nobody had ever loved me. I didn't know what unconditional love felt like. I didn't know what
Mm,
true friendship felt like. I had lost friends over little things that, like, I couldn't understand. I had my best friend die at 27 of an aneurysm, and I lost my
mm.
2 other best friends at the time because I didn't grieve correctly. Like, that kinda stuff was what happened to me. But it's like I sat in that space of that yoga class, and it was such a pivotal moment for me because at the end of it, she said, "Now I want you to think about what you heard in that first phrase, and now I want you to change it to what you want to believe." And it
Mm.
even still kinda chokes me up now, but I heard a phrase that my friend Georgette, who's a mentor of mine, she's like my fairy guide mother. She she sent me a quote on her birthday while I was in Bali, and it said, "She was free in her wildness, a drop of free water, a wanderess. She belonged to no man and no city." And that day, I changed the phrase, "I am too much," to "I am wild and free." And I realized
Mm.
it was the same thing, it just depended on how you looked at it. And so I
Yeah.
really started adopting that mentality, and it took me a long time to understand, but I had a long history of like, my husband went through testosterone therapy really young because 'cause he'd never had finished basically puberty at the time.
Mm.
And so in his early 30s, he had to figure that out and, like, get all of his stuff together. So I never felt sexy because he wasn't fully there and I wasn't, it's like all those things in marriage that you're like, "But you're younger than me. What's wrong with, like, why can't you just, like, be on
Mm.
Like, what is this?" But it caused me to have to look at myself, and I kept thinking, "Maybe I'm not attractive. Maybe he just isn't into this style of person. Maybe I'm too manly or I'm ugly." Like, I would look at myself and say that. And
Mm.
then one day it just clicked like 4 years ago. I was like, "No, whatever this is, whatever he's gotta figure out, that's on him. This is not on me." And I started looking in the mirror and just saying, "I love you, Melanie. I think you're so beautiful." And my body started responding, like, all my inflammation started disappearing.
Mhm.
Like, I had a wide face, I had no idea I didn't have that wide face, like, I didn't know that my lines on my forehead weren't, like, always there, like, deep. I didn't know that my belly didn't have to be bloated, I didn't know that I didn't have to look this way. I started talking to my body and it started responding, and I
Mm.
started feeling more beautiful than I had ever felt in my life, and then
Mhm.
he got his stuff figured out. It was just, like, this beautiful back and forth, and all these times I could tell you so many stories, but, like, it was just the constant looking at and going, "Why are you saying that to yourself? You wouldn't say that to your best friend."
Yeah.
And what I say to you is the same thing I should say to myself and vice versa. So why would I ever tell you that you're ugly? Why would I say that to myself? That's not okay. So it just
Yeah.
the constant evolution of it, and I know there's so much more to go, but like, to be able to like
Ah.
sit in it and just go, "I got
Yep.
here." Like, can I imagine 10
Mhm.
years from now, if I look back at that 10-year self of mine, I'm gonna look back at myself and be like, "Girl, you have no idea."
Yeah. That is the way it happens. Yeah, it is. You're just like, "Wow, okay." But, I mean, the whole thing about, looking yourself in the mirror and saying, "I love you. You're a beautiful person." I think a lot of people might hear that and they go, "Oh, that's uncomfortable. That's woo-woo. Like,
Mhm.
I don't even know. No, I can't do that." But it's such a simple act, and yet, like, studies have shown, like, it will change the neurons in your
Yeah,
and the channels in your brain. Like, if you continue to do it like any other habit, it will
right.
become, like, ingrained in you. And, also just wanna, like, mention, like, the whole thought, or idea of, going from too much to wild and free. I mean, just embodying that
Mhm.
is such a difference in how you move through the world.
Totally.
Yeah,
It's
which is
sovereign. It's like I'm
mm,
so in myself now and so sovereign and knowing who I am that now I know if anything's off, I feel it immediately. I'm like, "Ooh, that's not for me." Mm.
mhm,
Like, I can walk into a room and turn right back around and walk back out because I'm like, "This isn't no." I can feel the system shift as it's happening, or someone walk in my house and I'm like, "Ooh, alright, okay. Alright, reset.
yeah.
Clear the energy, like, let's do this." But it's being so carefully understood by myself, not by
Mhm,
anyone else, and I think that's the difference is, like, for most of my life, I needed to be seen.
mm,
I had other people say, "You just need to be the center of attention." I definitely did not wanna be the center of attention, but I found out 5 or 6 years ago that I'm a 5/1 manifestor, which
mm.
you don't know
I don't know
anything
what that
about that.
means. Yeah.
If you don't know anything about that, that just means I'm here to light fires and I'm here to start change and I'm here not to be like anyone else. I'm here to really stand out and I'm here for people to either really love me and be like, "Oh my god, you're the best thing ever," or be so affronted and confronted by me that they're like, "Ugh, don't like you at all, go away." Like there's no in between. I don't have people
Yeah.
that are like, "She's nice. She's that's just who I am and who I'm built to
Yeah.
be. And it took me so long not to people please people by
Hmm.
making myself smaller because I'm 6 feet tall. I don't look like everyone else. I walk into a room, people notice. And it used to be like I had to like almost apologize for being there
Mm.
because I could trigger people by literally walking in the door and be like, what did I do? What happened? What did something happen? I missed something.
Wow. Yeah.
But also realizing I don't look this way to stand out. I look this way because I'm the most comfortable and in myself this way.
Mm.
And that I'm not trying to get other people to be that out there, just be more themselves. So it's like you see something in me and you're like, I want what she's having. Like, how do I get that? And
Yeah.
that's what I'm hoping for is like being able to be so sovereign in myself that it allows other people to go, that's what I want.
Authenticity.
Totally. And
Yeah.
even that word's a buzzword anymore. It's like, yeah, be authentic. And I'm like, do you know what that means? Do you know who you are? Want to
Do you know
find
how
out?
much work you have to do to like figure that out?
Right. Exactly. Years of spiraling up and back down again.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and just kind of looping back to finish this off, as far as like loving yourself and love, I think you said a little earlier, like your understanding of what that is much different than it was 8 years ago, whether that's in relation to yourself or or your partner.
Mhm.
I mean, how has that shifted?
It's
Or
shifted in so many ways that the first thing that comes to mind that I would say is my husband always told me, I love you to the ends of the earth. Like there's no time or place that I wouldn't want to be with you. But that became something that was almost like a little prison.
Mm,
Like, I love you because I had such abandonment issues when we first got together that he was like, I will never leave you. And I was always of the like, you're going to leave anyway. So I'm just not going to worry about this.
mm,
And what it took me to was that he kept using it as almost like but see, I can do all of this stuff to you, but I'll never leave you. And I was like,
oh wow.
that doesn't feel good. I don't want that. What I've learned is like the parameters of love and how to love are just so different now that I first have to love myself enough to be able to understand how to love somebody else.
Hmm.
And he has to do the same. And I think like that's the reason we're taking this break because I'm like, I want you to go find who you are and then come back and ask me on a date and introduce yourself to me as if for the first time. Like
Mm,
you're not moving back in 6 months. This is like he comes back and he can ask me on a date and I can say yes or no or whatever. But
yeah.
like I'd like to know that he knows himself that well so that I can love him from that place or not, depending
Yeah.
on what that looks like. But I think it's about the fact that we've focused so much on, yeah, but your parents stayed together. Obviously, they love each other. That's not true. My parents are super codependent, like super like bitching about each other all the time to the point that I was like, just stop and leave each other. And they're like,
Yeah.
actually, I think I enjoyed this better than trying to figure it out with someone else. And I'm like, that's not love. That's codependence. That's
Yeah.
understandable, and I appreciate that that's your version of it, but I think we all have different versions of what does love really mean, and it all typically comes from how we were raised, if people left us or stayed with us, our abandonment issues, trauma. I mean, there's so many layers to it, but I tell people whenever they come to my retreats, you
Mm.
are not to go home and change anybody because you're going to want to, because you had 5 years of therapy and 3 nights at my house, and you're going to feel like, oh, everybody needs this. Everybody needs this. Everybody has to do this. And I'm like, that's not true, though. Your only job is to go home and love.
Mm.
That's it. Not to
Mhm.
tell them what you learned, not to tell them all about how your experience was, not to tell them what they need to do differently or judge them. Love. That's it.
Yep.
Pure and simple. If you do that, they will go, all right, what did you do? I want to know.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and it is so hard after any type of retreat when you come back and like, A,
Everyone's
people
the
wanna
same.
know. Yeah, everyone's the same. Oh, that's such a
So
challenge.
many
I
times.
know every time.
Yep.
Yeah, and yeah, the whole evolution of you and yeah. Anyway, we could go a whole different
I
tangent
know.
with
It's
that,
like, do we have
but,
another podcast episode for
yeah.
that?
I do just wanna like, put out there, like, I just love the romantic in me loves the idea of him coming back and asking you on a date and then, like, sort of rekindling the whole thing from step one. And, like,
Yeah.
hopefully he's different, you're different, and, like, seeing if it still meets up, which,
Which is fascinating that you say the word rekindle because I host a couples retreat called The Rekindling.
Oh.
We had 4 couples at our house doing this crazy thing. We saved 4 marriages and blew up ours in the same week.
Wow.
Like 2 days later, I was like,
Yeah.
"You have to go now." That was it. It was like, "And we're done." But I was like, "Okay, but 4 out of 5 is pretty good."
That's incredible.
Right? Go figure. We teach what we need to learn
Yeah.
the most, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. Um, yeah. Yeah. Be careful be careful what you lead, you might get
Mhm.
what you're not expecting, right?
Exactly.
Um, and well, I want to also, just touch a little more on, like, plant medicine and psychedelics, and 'cause I'm curious, like, your own path into that world and, how it has shaped what you do now, really.
Oh my gosh, it shaped everything about it.
Mm.
It's funny, people ask me all the time about this because I'm pretty open about talking about my own experience with it because I was the person who was in dare, like through and through. I was like,
Mhm.
"No, we're against drugs. This is bad for you. This is terrible. Never do it." I've never smoked. I didn't drink till I was in my late 20s. I didn't even have coffee until I was in my 30s. Like I was like a no for everything.
I
And
just
then
need to interrupt because my wife and I need to hang out with you because we were both, like, full straight edge for,
right,
like,
like
for
all day.
ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
I
go
know.
ahead.
Let me know. I'm in. Sounds
Yeah.
great. But I think that's why people come to me because they're like, "You're not some hippie girl who's like, oh, you should try these mushrooms." It's like,
Mhm.
I'm the person who's like, "No, I did ayahuasca first." Like, of all
Same.
things on the whole you did?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we are such kindred souls then, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, and the funny thing is people say you have to be called to ayahuasca, but my
Mhm.
mentor was like, "Do you wanna try ayahuasca?" And I was like, "What is that?"
Mm.
And my husband's sitting there, he's tried everything, and he's just like, "You're gonna do that first? Are you kidding me?"
Straight into the deep end.
I was like, 0 to 100, go big or go home, and as much as, like, I wasn't called to doing it, it gave me, like, the depth of understanding of something so much deeper that I couldn't bridge my
Mm.
born again Christian faith with the spiritual realm. I could not bridge it. It was the weekend I learned about, like, oracle cards and tarot cards and how they're not the devil. They're not
Mm.
actually telling us anything we don't know. It's just giving us guidance on things, and that everything is spiritual and everything is understood, and it's so different. Like, I met God that weekend in a way I
Mm.
never
Mhm.
experienced. I had to re-experience my own birth, which was traumatic, but I was upside down and backwards when I was born. Like, it was just, like, everything and anything, and I had to learn to walk again, and I used to think, like, "Oh, I'm amazing. I already figured myself out. I got this." And that weekend, I was like, "You know what my intention is?" Funny, the wild and free thing comes back. I am wild and free, and the lady who ran the retreat was just like, I think your intention is to, like, learn how to walk." I was
Mm.
like, "That's such a baby thing to do. What are you talking about learn how to walk? Like, I'm not a toddler?" And so that was my first experience with it, but over time, I had so much still locked up in me, and I did it 4 times before I tried anything else, and
Mm.
then I started trying different things, and we don't have to talk about specifics, but, like, I got into some other things, and I was taking things that are supposed to make you feel good, and I was vomiting the whole night. Like,
Oh,
I
wow.
hated everything. Like, everything was like walking through fire, and it was hard, and it was painful. What's funny now is I sit here and think, yeah, I've had to go through some of the worst possible experiences with every single medicine so that I can sit with other people knowing, I know,
Mhm.
I get you. I understand.
Yeah.
And I've gotten like a C-suite executives microdosing, like, who are like, "I would never do that." And I was like, "Yeah, but you have ADHD and you can't sit through a 30-minute meeting with me, so could you try it, please?" And they're like, "This is the best thing ever." I'm like, "I know. It's not you're not going off into some other world.
No.
It's just
Yeah.
getting grounded." And it made me realize that, like, we put drugs into the same category as medicine, and you know this, like, that's not the same.
Mm-mm.
And if they made it legal, we would all start thinking for ourselves. What would happen then? Oh, we'd burn
Yeah.
down the structures of what's been happening, and we'd do it totally differently. And so there are those behind the scenes going, "Let's do that anyway, and let's change it, and let's just make it happen." And I'm just so grateful that I was given the opportunity to learn and then also help other people see it's not as scary to look at yourself.
Hmm.
It's actually scarier to think that could stay in there.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. Well, it's and for me, as we were referencing earlier, to like couples who stay married but are super codependent and like basically kind of just nag at each other, and
Right.
from
You
the
hear it and you're
outside
like,
you're like, is there any love there? And there is on some weird level of like, this is what
uh-huh.
we know. But yeah, I mean, do you want to end up like that, or like in a truly deep, loving, connected relationship where you're honest with each other and
Right.
not reacting out of fear?
And that's the thing is like fear of abandonment is not nearly as
Mhm.
bad as fear of being alone these days. Like learning to be alone with myself.
Mm,
It used to be like I would do anything not to have to be alone with myself. Like I had so much sexual trauma and all sorts of things that I was always looking for company to like, no, but I don't want to be alone with myself because if I am, then my thoughts will take over and I can't control it. But
mm,
learning through all of the breath work I've done, the sound bath healing, the mentors that I've had, the healers that I have, like I have a women's program I do right now specifically because after a lot of the retreats that I do, people just like, now what? And I
mhm.
started this program because I'm like, I have all these magical healers who I've collected over the years, like 25 years of healers. Let me introduce you to them so that
Mm,
you can see what I've learned, not through just sitting with my thoughts, but asking someone who really knows an answer. Because so many people have all of this wisdom locked up in them and they don't have it in a book. It's not on a podcast. It's just like getting curious enough about yourself to ask somebody who can help you, but then finding a person who can really give you the truth unfiltered. Not like,
mhm.
oh, I'm going to judge you as you're telling me this, but truly loving you to the idea that you can fully love yourself. And
Yeah.
so I've been
It
so honored for that to have those people. And I'm like, I want everyone to know the people that I know.
Yeah, I mean, what a great, wisdom network that is for
Yeah.
people to rely on and for you to send people to. And, you just mentioned, like, the judgment part, and I feel like that is such a hindrance to people taking that first step, you
Hmm.
know? Their fear, the shame, basically.
Oh, so much
The
of it.
shame that's so deep in there, so in the body that they don't know what it feels like not to have it,
Right.
so it's just more comfortable to just like, I'm just gonna live with this anxiety and shame and all these things
Right.
and not take that first step. But, what, if anything, might you suggest to someone who's like, "Oh, well, yeah, there's all these people with all this wisdom, but, like, I can't afford that," like, or I can't go on a retreat."
Yeah.
I think you and I were both lucky at this time to be able to go to Bali, or I went to Peru and a vision fast and
Right.
that sort of thing. What do you have anything like that's an easier, more graspable first step for people who are like, I have 3 kids and I have a job, and how
Yeah.
am I supposed to like manage this?
So most of the mentors I've had over the years, I didn't pay.
Mm,
I
mm,
have paid 6 figures for mentors, which is insane to me that I didn't have the money for that and somehow manifested it and made it happen just because that's how this works, it seems. And I've also had so many people that I just reached out to and said, "I think
mm,
you have an answer for me. Would you be willing to sit with me?" And it's about me being willing to take that courageous step to ask that person,
mm,
but also to be curious enough with myself, not to have it be a selfish thing, not to have it be like, here, just give me all your wisdom, but to say, like, what can I do for you in return? Because there's a lot of, especially older women, which we're calling crone, which I feel like we need a better word for that. But it's just like, they're just books of wisdom. But
mm,
also, they don't have as many tech skills as I do or supportive skills that I could easily give to them. And I've done that over the years where I'm like, if you can sit with me, can I sit with you in the stuff that you don't know how to do or you're not sure what to do? And
brilliant.
having someone who knows himself well enough to be able to be mentored the opposite direction, that's powerful because they're learning just as much from me as I'm learning from them. And so
Mm,
it's not about me going, "Oh, I know all this stuff. Can I just trade you?" But it's like, "I have things I can offer you. Could you offer these things to me?" And I've just been so fortunate to be courageous enough to ask, but I had to be so careful to be curious with them. And that's what I've noticed is missing is like the curiosity of really wanting to know and being willing to show enough of your vulnerability to say, show me what I'm not seeing. Tell me what you
Mm,
see in me that I'm not able to see for myself, and being open enough to receive that. To
mm.
have the capacity to receive that is the key.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a challenge. That's often a challenge to really receive it
Like,
and let it
"Ugh,
hit
oh,
on a
that
deeper
hurt."
level. Like, yeah, like, no, that can't be true.
But it's being able to
um,
like, I have retreats where I had said something one day at the end of one, it was the last day, it was integration day, and I was sitting there going, "If I told you that I could see all of your stuff, would you finally tell me what it is?" And they were like, "Are you like a mind reader? Like, can you actually do that?" And I was like, "No, I have enough attunement to what's going on that I can see all the stuff you're putting, the layers you're putting on yourself that you're not even noticing are there, the words you're saying or how you're holding yourself or how you're holding back or you're stepping away or those little tiny, tiny patterns that I notice, you'll later finally see for yourself that it's not
mhm,
about mind reading. It's about I can see the things because they were in me. Because I
right.
used to do this. I used to know everything. And then I meet someone, I'm like, "You know that you don't have any friends because you know everything." And they're like, "Ooh, that's true." Okay, maybe ask more
Uh,
questions.
yeah, yeah, and that's, again, hard to hear, but, on some level, you're gonna know it's true. And I just love everything you're saying about, finding someone to mentor you and, offering some of your skills to them as a trade, and that curiosity piece, I feel is it just sounds so crucial, and being open, as you said, to
Right.
whatever they're gonna tell you. And,
Yeah.
I mean, has there ever been a time, just to play devil's advocate, where, like, someone told you something and you're like, "Wow, that was hard to hear. I'm not sure that's right." And then you, like, had to dig deep enough to be like, "No, they aren't right about that."
Yeah, that happens all the time because, like, as a
Yeah.
manifestor, the person that I am, we don't like to be told what to do. We're like a very much a no about this. But as we evolve, we kind of start looking at like, okay, I see you're filtering that through this. I'll take the parts and pieces that I need and that kind of thing. But I've learned over time that I have to consider the source. I have to be safe
Mm,
enough with that person to go, are they filtering it through their own shit or are they evolved enough for me to like really take in what they're saying? So there's only
mm.
a couple people I call these days who are other manifestors, which is funny that that's happening because I've been in this lull and I'm like, what do you do in this time? Like what happens when you're in the gooey like caterpillar inside the little blah? So the butterfly happens and they're like, oh, I totally know what you're talking about. Thank God. Okay, good.
Yeah.
But it's like being willing to go to the right people. And it's like the arena thing again. If someone's not in the arena, they shouldn't be telling you what to do.
Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
they do, you just can be like, "That's nice. Enjoy your thing, whatever you're doing." But you don't have to take it all the way in. So I like to think I was taught that I can only take things to about 20%. That's the good and the bad, though.
Mm.
Because it used to be that when someone would be like, "Oh my god, I love your hair." I'm like, "Oh my god, thank you so much." Like, "Oh, that just fills me up. It's oh," or like, "You're such a wonderful whatever." I'm like, "Oh, that just fills my cup." It used to feel that way, but then when someone would be like, "You're so ugly," which happens often, I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe they hate me. Like, ugh, I need to change myself to be better for them in whatever way.
Yeah.
And so once I learned that, I'm like, I'm only going to take it to here, just like just outside of myself, either direction. So if someone says
Mm.
something nice, I'm like, thank you. I don't need it. It's not required. It's nice to hear, but it's not a
Yeah.
requirement because I got it.
Yeah.
But also the best if I'm like, oh, I just posted something actually recently. I'm looking for a helpful human at the moment here locally. I posted in two groups, two local groups. One group was like, "Oh my god, you're like the coolest person ever. I can't believe that you said that." Like, this is like I've been in recruiting for 20 years. I've never seen anything like this. Best application ever because I don't accept resumes. Like, I'd rather hire people who are qualified rather than people throwing their resumes at me.
Mhm.
And so this other group was like, "She's a weirdo megalomaniac." And I was like, "What?" And then another person literally ripped everything I said apart and said, "I have a doctorate in leadership." And then all this stuff about it. And someone wrote back to her because I was like, "Wow, you guys are just saying more about yourselves than you are about me." But this one other person wrote back and was like, based on this, you either seem really fun at a party or you should probably just hire Melanie because she could really help you." But it's because I'm not taking it all the way in anymore, where I'm just like,
Yeah.
I don't have to fully feel that anymore. I can just be like, oh, look at all you people just needing to be mean behind your
Yeah.
anonymous little
Yeah.
things and whatever. So
Yeah. Well, and that's
I
such
don't
an
know if I'm really
important
there.
point, I think, is, like, really also being aware of where they might be coming through
Totally.
from and their filter, whether, whatever their shadow is that they're might be weaving way through and not realizing it. So,
Well, jealousy and envy look very much like just mean girl activity or mean guy activity.
mhm.
It's like, I don't wanna say that they're envious of me, I don't even know that they would know that, but I think there's, like, a level of understanding of your own awareness before you start saying something about someone else, because when you're pointing the finger at someone, you're really not seeing the part about yourself that you're seeing in that person,
Yep.
and so the more I've become more sure of myself, and I'm sure it's gonna keep happening as I grow, but really understanding I'm not here for other people to feel good.
Mm,
I'm here to make impact. I'm here to make change. And if I'm making everyone happy, I'm doing something wrong.
yeah.
So I
Yeah.
know if I'm setting a little bit of a fire, I'm like, I did it. Good job.
Yeah. Well,
So,
and also what a sense of freedom that gives you as a person when you realize, "Oh, I'm not here to make everyone else feel good."
oh, but if
Yeah.
I
I
can
mean,
feel
not
good,
to be a dick, you don't have to be mean, but just
exactly.
like, yeah, it's not
I'm
your
not going to make
job to make
myself smaller. I'm free in
yeah,
my wildness.
exactly. Exactly. Wow, awesome. Well, just to kinda, start to wind down here a little bit, integrate at the end, that sort of thing. Um, before we get to, I have, sort of semi-speed questions, 3 questions I ask at the end, but, what are you up to next? Where can people find you? What else do you have coming up? All the things that you're excited about in that realm.
Well, I'm in this identity
Oh,
detox.
you're in right, you're in a detox. You're, in a lull.
Right, I'm in this, like, in between phase, but a lot
Yeah.
of the work that I've been really shifting into is this healing work I've been doing over the years, which is really the work that I've had to do for myself and helping people and walk alongside people as they're doing it for themselves. But it's a lot to do with this identity of who you are and this understanding of, like, being fully self-expressed, and that
Mm,
means looking at the shadows and clearing the path and getting underneath what's there so you can pull all out everything that wasn't you and unbecome that so that you can step more fully into remembering who you are. And so that's really been on my mind lately is like
mm,
really understanding that like all the corporate stuff that I did and have done, like I have a speaker training and like I help people with branding and I help exiting founders figure out their next step. But all of that stuff really comes back to who are you and what are you here for? And how can we really help you step into that more fully, but in
mhm.
community? And so I'm super jazzed about getting people together. Like I've created a soul family here in Vero Beach and we get together and do really cool stuff together all the time, but it's making me realize how much we don't have a village. And that's what I
Yeah.
really want to start building is that village, that community. But I heard the other day that somebody was saying something about if you want a village, you have to be a villager. And that really struck me of like, yes, I am one of the
Yeah.
villagers. Like I have people drop their kids off during the day sometimes while I'm working because I'm like, I'm here. If you have things you need to do, drop your kids off and give them something to do. But like I'll be here. So if you need something or drop
Watchful
your pup
eye.
off for the night or something like that. But it's like giving people the space to really step into themselves in community with other people and
Mm,
be like, you focus on your strengths, I'll focus on mine. We can all help each other. And
yeah.
so that's what I've been really focusing on. I don't know where it'll go from here, but it's gonna be
Yeah.
magical, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I love that. I mean, just community, especially right now when
Mm,
the country, the world seems so divided, and
right.
it's really because there's a lack of community and human to human in present community.
Right.
So, I love that that's what you're excited about and where you might explode from the cocoon into that.
Yeah, that's the idea. Well, and, we used to ask where people can find me.
Yeah.
MelanieSpring.com is where you can find me. I'm
Okay.
updating things at the moment and figuring things out and getting things refreshed, but usually if you just look up Melanie Spring I've been on the internet since I was 15, so it's pretty easy to
That's where
find.
okay. You have a trail there.
Exactly, like and what's funny is my last name isn't even Spring, that's my middle name, but I've been
Mm,
using it since I was 17, so I'm officially governmenty getting my passport and my driver's license to say Melanie Spring moving forward for the first time since I've been
wow.
using it since I was 17, so yeah,
That's a metaphorical and literal transition. So
100%. I'm
yeah.
really excited about it. I need it because 'cause I'm like, "Is it this? Is it this? Which one do you have on file?" I don't know, but it's like, that's my name and everybody knows it, so
Mm, amazing. Very cool. So last 3 questions here.
okay.
This is obviously very timely considering if you had a little mushroom journey last night, but because usually it's I have to like kind of couch it in like, what's a hallucination or altered state or a dream or something that has taught you something recently. And maybe it's last night, maybe it's not, but just wondering, maybe
Something that I've done that caused that?
something that you have learned from some sort of altered state in the
Hmm.
recent year.
Well, I one of the reasons I call the women's retreat around the remembering is because I heard this song called Grandmother,
Mm.
and, my
East
hand
Forest song?
no.
Grandmother? That's Grandmother's Fear. Sorry. Go
Right.
ahead.
It's that's not it. I'll send it to you, but
Okay.
my while that happened, this was years ago after an ayahuasca retreat, actually, my hands started moving in front of me, and I couldn't
Mm,
stop them. I was like, what is happening? What is this? I don't." And this I've never actually shared this online, so maybe I should at some point. But, I sat there and my hands just started moving, and I was like, "What is this?" And I was singing the song, and it's this beautiful song of, like, "We're healing with the earth, we're healing with the earth." And so I just kept moving my hands, and I was like, "What am I doing? What is this? What is happening?" And then the song ended and my hands went down. I was like, and so that just kept happening over time, like, they would just randomly move. And one day, I was sitting in a sound bath healing, and this lady who I know, she does Akashic Records reading, she does Reiki, all this
mhm.
stuff. She goes, "Melanie, I noticed your hands were moving." I was like, "Yeah, that's been happening for the last, like, year and a half." And she's like, "Oh, do you know what that is?" And I was like, Like some sort of Reiki or something like that? I don't know. It's like moving energy." And she's like, "It's called light language." And I was like,
Hmm.
"I don't know what that means." And then not too long ago, I had these 2 and I've since researched it and I understand it a lot more now, but it's just something my hands do. I'm moving energy. I'm actually shifting it.
Mm.
But I used to do it when I was a kid,
Oh, really?
like a little kid. I used to think maybe I was just conducting an orchestra or something. I was like, I didn't know what was happening, but my body wouldn't stop moving. Like it just kept going. And so it was about the remembering of like, I've had this since
Mm,
I was a little kid, and now I can actually
mhm,
shift energy inside people as it's happening. It's just like
mm.
those kinds of things come up, and I'm like, cool. What else is in there?
Well, yeah, yeah, what else is in there, and
Right,
again, that's just such a beautiful I just love that, you were doing it as a kid and for whatever reason, as so many kids, I feel have to, like, press down these special parts of
right.
themselves, right?
Literally, I had to sit on my hands as a kid.
Yeah.
My mom hated that I was like, jittery and, like, moving my
Yeah.
hands and stuff, so
So to rediscover that authentic part of yourself through this work is, I mean, just a magical,
yeah.
beautiful part of the journey, right?
Mhm.
um, next question: what is something well, again, very timely because I feel you might be in the middle
Course.
of it, but usually the question is, what is something you have lost in the last year, and that could be good or bad, and what is it teaching you?
Mm. I'm gonna shift out of this identity piece for a second. I've lost I've lost my financial freedom
Mm,
because I didn't have a handle on it. My whole life, I've always had a handle on it. I grew up with a mom who put money under her mattress and a dad who just spent money on whatever, not caring. So I had 2
mm,
sides of me that were just always like, "Okay, I gotta save money, but I also gotta spend money." Like, ugh. And, I turned over all my finances to my husband who has a finance degree, thinking like, "Okay, you can do this, no problem." Not knowing that when we never talked about money or our understanding of money, he was just spending money thinking money will just show up.
mm,
And I was going, "He's got it figured out." And what I lost was the ability to fully know where everything was. And I'm just now gaining that back with this space and having a supportive human who's helping me figure that out. But like, I didn't realize how much I had given away my sovereignty with money. And I'd always
mm,
never had debt. I never had like credit cards. I never had anything that like, I just don't do that. That's just not how I live. And then it just became this mountain that I was like, oh, because I let go of it, because I lost it, because I handed it over to someone else thinking. And again, I couldn't blame him. It was like me just turning a blind eye and going, you
yeah.
figure it out. I don't want to have to deal with it. So that I think was the biggest thing I lost.
Wow. Yeah, that's a big one.
Hmm.
Money
Oof.
always makes relationships a little spicy sometimes.
Right? Like, I wish I had talked about it in the beginning, like, "What do you think about money? What do you know?" But I don't think
Yeah,
I had the tools at the time, so
yeah,
now I
yeah,
do.
yeah. Well, always a rough lesson, but yeah.
Mhm.
And last but not least question, what are you loving right now?
Myself. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
It has been
Brilliant.
like truly delight. I have the phrase for my year is delightfully calm,
Mm.
which the entire universe has gone, "Are you sure?" I had
Yes.
literally a dog at 2 in the morning. I don't even have a dog. I had a friend of mine staying with me on New Year's Eve. 2 in the morning, the dog projectile diarrheaed onto my pillow.
Oh. Because after
After
you're like, I'm delightfully calm.
Right, exactly. I set the intention and the universe was like, "Mhm, okay, we'll see about that." After the dog had crawled under the bed and puked on my feet.
Mm.
So we just, like, pulled everything off the bed, stuck it in the laundry room, and slept in the other room, but it made me realize how much I'm like, "I can just move into the other room. It's fine. It's just, like,
Yeah.
we're
Mm.
not gonna get mad at the dog, like, what's gonna happen here? Like, okay, whatever, like, just move on, whatever." And
Yeah.
it was just, like, the constant reminder of, I don't have to react to the world around me. I can just be in me and just stay in here and just be like, "Okay, this is where we are. This is what we're doing next.
Mhm.
We can do this." And it's caused me to just have such a more settled nervous system than I've ever had in my life. And it's just like, no, I can delight in this. Even this lull, I'm like, ugh, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, but whatever.
Mm.
Okay. This is just where I am. I can
Yeah.
just delight in these tiny little things like calling Capital One and being like, "Hi, help me with this." Like that kind of thing. I'm like, I can delight in that and have a nice conversation with a wonderful person. Okay,
Mm.
sure.
Yeah. And it's just, what was I just gonna say about that? Just I lost it. I'm just gonna be
Be
honest there, and I
delightfully
lost it.
prominent and just,
Yeah, I was delightfully calm. Well, oh, yeah, okay. So, and then I would imagine, I don't wanna project anything here, but I would imagine being that and being able to be in that delightfully calm state allows you to show up better for yourself and for others,
always.
right?
I mean,
Yeah.
that's the thing about, especially in a relationship, if a woman is settled, everyone's happy.
Mm.
Everyone. So if a man can be settled so that she can be settled, whoa, amazing. But in reality, seen so much on the internet about like, well, men, you need to be this way in order for her to be this way. I'm like, stop doing that. Don't make anyone have to do anything. I have to do this for myself. I have to be fully sovereign
Mhm.
in myself and do this for myself. And then whatever you do just adds to it. And it was a friend of mine years ago. She was so happy single. And I was like, how are you so happy single? This was like 10 or 15 years ago. She goes, because I'm content.
Mm.
I was like, "Mm." And she's like, "And if I find a person who can make me more content, then I will marry them." And I was like, "Ugh, that sounds amazing. I would love that." But then it's taken me this long to go, "Oh, I see what she meant by that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh.
about me so that everyone else can be." So the
Yeah.
more I can do this, especially my manifestor self, I affect everything around me. So I'm like, it's everyone's job to keep me in this little bubble, to keep me super chill, but it's also my job to fully own my own stuff in that. So,
Yeah.
mhm.
Ah, great note to finish on. Own your own stuff, people. That's what we're saying.
The entire episode summed up in one thing. Just own
Yeah,
your stuff. That's
own
it.
your stuff. There you go. That's the title. Own your stuff! Exclamation point. Stop your bullshit.
Exactly, and then
Uh,
go do psychedelics. I'm sure it'll help.
yeah, and then do psychedelics. I think that'll be the title. And-
Perfect.
Amazing. Well, Melanie, it's been an awesome hour, and I hope wherever you come out in this cocoon, I have no doubt is going to be a beautiful, creative, strong place. And yeah, I'll be watching from afar online, I suppose.
Yeah, maybe I'll have to come back on and we can talk about the other side of things next.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah, let me know when that is,
Okay,
and we'll have you back on.
sounds great.
Wonderful.
Amazing.
All right. Thanks again, Melanie.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And thanks again to all of you out there listening this week. I just crossed 4,000 plus downloads and listens to the podcast. It's not exactly, say, Joe Rogan numbers, but I'm kind of excited about it. So thank you all for your time and listens. Next week's guest is a very, very interesting human. His name is Afosu Jones Corte, aka Born I. He is a meditation teacher as well as a hip hop artist and sits at the intersection of music, mindfulness, and radical self compassion. We had a great conversation, so looking forward to sharing that with all of you. In the meantime, I hope you found today's episode meaningful and insightful. And if you did, let me know. Leave a comment or give it a like or a share, all those wonderful things. Till next week, thanks for tuning in.